Let's play this sound from comedian Dan Soder, childhood friend of Mike McDaniel. Listen carefully to Mark Normand and the way that he's pretending to support an interest in sports in the background.
But he'll get a gig, right? Somewhere else?
Absolutely. In fact, I think he's better off because I think, and listen to me right now, I think it's organization. I think it's ran by an old that stabbed Mike in the back after he told him he was going to be all right for another season, and the Dolphins. And honestly, Miami as a comedy town. When having a friend that's an NFL coach, you listen more when people talk about your friend. And Troy Aikman on McDaniel in a way that I'm like, he doesn't like Mike.
Whoa.
And me and my friend Chad, who grew up with Mike, were like, Chad was the first one who was like, I bet Aikman had something to do with it. And then I was just like, Troy Aikman looking like white Jay-Z, quarterback that was falling off. Tua stinks. But people, listen, I think McDaniel got fired because he tied himself to Tua and they lost. That's a sign of my friend being loyal. So, like, as a friend, I go, yeah, he's stuck with him. And I hope the next team he goes to, the quarterback goes, well, this guy's stuck with him, so I believe in him.
Yeah.
So I'll play for it. I just hope McDaniel goes and wins 10 Lombardi trophies and then shoves them up the owner of the Dolphins one at a time. And I hope the Dolphins never win another game.
Woo!
You're stupid. Your old logo's better. Your new logo looks like a penis jumping through a Nuva ring.
Hey.
Your fans don't know ball. A couple of them at the stadium, it was like crazy watching them not know when to cheer on third down.
Jesus Christ.
That whole organization.
I thought Mark Normand was funnier than Dan there, and I think Dan's the funniest.
And me and my friend.
Felt like the responses stopped matching up too. Like it was just like the things he was getting like more and more like progressively more intense responses to were not the things that were shocking. It felt like after he said we was gonna jam trophies up there, he was like, oh,
hey,
yeah. then he said something else a little bit more benign. He's the fans don't know to cheer on third downs. Jesus Christ!
Jesus Christ!
That was delayed. That's for the shoving it up people's butt. That was when you should have Jesus Christ.
Picked a great day to bring Claire to the office.
You're stupid.
Sorry, Claire. I mean, that's how I would be like Mark Normand if I were on the hockey show. Like I would be the best teammate I could, but I don't know what you talk about. I'm like, yeah.
Your thoughts on when you gave us some of what you find interesting about Harbaugh. What are your thoughts about McDaniel's firing and the fact that the Dolphins weren't able to even get close to anywhere with Harbaugh?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you talk to any of the owners, or excuse me, any of the coaches, they'll say that ownership is incredibly important. I don't know, like, what type of owner you guys have there in Ross, but it does seem
a bad one,
a lousy one,
a bad one.
It seems like he's bad in a different way, though. Like, he's not bad in the way that I think most coaches are concerned. They're concerned about like commitment and resources and like patience, I guess, and understanding when things are happening and when they aren't, and like how involved you're going to be. They want the owners to be somewhat involved, but not the final decision maker. So like that's a big question, and I imagine that they talk just the same way that any of us do. And if you have enough leverage, you're not going to be one who's going to sign up for something like that. I think that's probably why it appears that Harbaugh is going to sign with the Giants, because that feels like an organization that, despite the fact that they haven't hired all that well, has a history of at least like staying out of the way. The ownership does, and that seems attractive to some of these teams. I think also having an owner who is going to be accused of some of the things that Ross has been accused of, like like trying to go behind his coach's back. Like that's, if you got other options, that's not somewhere you're going to go. And then on top of it, the story of him walking in and firing him, like while he has already promised that he's going to keep him around, like that stuff. If I were a coach with some sort of leverage, I'm not going to that place, or not going to work for that guy.
I have not heard the concussion stuff talked about the way that Darren Waller talked about it on Johnny Manziel's podcast. Listen to this and tell me what you think.
But I was watching most of training camps. I'm on the sideline. I'm watching this man throw darts every practice, bro. Like, it was just like, what the am I watching? Like, I'd never seen the anticipation and the accuracy out there. So it's like, I think from my standpoint, the skill set for him is still there. Well, I think like maybe some of like the disconnect comes from like seeing it translate. I think there might be like there could be some like trauma still stored like in his body from like what he's gone through, like with the head injuries and stuff. Because there's this book called The Body Keeps the Score, which is like the #1 book about like trauma. And they talk about how trauma was first with like war veterans and like what they went through there. And like they'll come home and they'll see like a car sitting by itself in a grocery store parking lot, but they're in their body and their brain will tell them like that car has an explosive in it when it's just like a car sitting at fucking Publix or something. And so I think like like I can notice him like trying to make things happen like in the game, like he's trying to pull the trigger, but it's almost like his body and like his system won't
allow him to do it.
Do that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like if there's a way for him to find some healing in that regard, I think the skill set is definitely still there, like you said.
Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's hard to like say that or believe something like that. I think that you can point to his experience and understand that there could be some issues as a result of the concussions, but like also like some of the concerns that he had were like concerns that some of the reasons why he's not playing well are concerns that were made about him at the beginning of his career. So like I'm in no position to evaluate how much trauma he's holding in his body and how that impacts the way that he plays. Like there are tons of players who've had plenty of trauma who go on to play just fine. And I'm sure there's plenty who have had minor issues that have sidetracked them altogether. Like it's super hard to say. I think more than anything, what you worry about for not just Tua, but all the players is like their future generally as a result of the hits to the head. Cause like, while those were really sensational hits that we saw and we remember, like the science doesn't necessarily support that those are any worse for you than like just the repeated fact that O linemen and D linemen bang heads together, have subconcussive episodes multiple times a game throughout the course of the game. So I understand that Waller's talking about a different thing. He's talking about like an emotional or mental response. He's not necessarily talking about the impact of like the deterioration of the brain from the tau protein that's in there as a result of like concussions. He's talking about just like he's kind of scared, I guess, for lack of a better term, that he's like antsy because of how violent those experiences were. Like I certainly can't hazard a guess on that, but some of his poor play recently looks like some of his poor play early also.